from the station working for you. This is Good Morning Indiana, streaming now.
And good morning to you and welcome to Good Morning Indiana.
It's 5 o'clock here on your Tuesday morning.
And these are your headlines on this January the 5th.
We had hoped that maybe over the holidays things would slow down a bit, and they just really haven't.
Local hospitals preparing for another spike in COVID cases after the holidays. What you need to know this morning here in central Indiana.
Plus, a third coronavirus vaccine could soon be approved. What we know about the vaccine and how it differs from the ones currently on the market.
And the next piece of the Bottle Works district development opening later today. This morning, we're giving you an inside look.
Thanks for joining us on Good Morning Indiana, Megan, Shen, and we have Lauren Casey back in the studio with us. Yay.
Yeah, gang is all here now that Rafael Sanchez is joining us from his home studio down in Johnson County.
Are we all together? Is that right? Have I seen you all in these boxes? Todd Clausen, yes. Things are clearing up. It was a little foggy yesterday here in Johnson County, but it's good to have the family all together again. Happy New Year, everybody.
Yeah, Happy New Year. You're exactly right. Yesterday we started off with the fog, Rafael, then it turned into a pretty nice day. I said yesterday Monday was going to be the best weather day of the week, and that's going to unfortunately hold true as we go forward. Lots of clouds in the forecast. We've been dealing with this little bit of a wintry mix making its way through the area this morning. It's about ready to exit the state, so it's really going to be a non-issue for us here over the next half hour or so. The roadways were wet when I drove into work. You can't rule out the chance of a slick spot or two here, but it should not be a widespread problem for you, which is good news. And then we're just left with this cloud cover as we work our way throughout the remainder of the day. Here's a live look outside right now. You can see the top of the state capitol there. Temperatures across the area are sitting in the 30s, 31 in Bloomington, 30 in Indianapolis, 32 is the current temperature in Lafayette. And these temperatures not really going to do a whole lot going forward throughout the remainder of the day because of that cloud cover that is in place. We'll hope for a few peaks of sunshine later on this afternoon, but it will be nothing like what we saw yesterday with that sustained sunshine throughout the day. And high temperatures, pretty seasonable for this time of year, Lauren, topping off in the upper 30s.
All right, Todd, thank you. Let's take a look at traffic as you're heading out the door this Tuesday morning. I-69 and I-465, the ramp system up here to our northeast. Traffic is traveling up to speed. As you can see, no crashes or delays to slow down your commute. But of course, we'll keep a close eye on the roads throughout your morning. We'll keep you updated. Megan?
Thank you, Lauren. Well, today, the next piece of the Bottle Works district development in downtown opens to the public. WRTV's Kelsey Henderson joins us live this morning with an early look inside the Garage Food Hall. Good morning, Kelsey.
Hey, good morning, Megan. So the Bottle Works district, it's all about reimagining the 1930s Coca-Cola bottling plant that's here on the north end of Mass Avenue. And so the Garage Food Hall is going to be right here, taking place in the old delivery garage where these trucks were stored. And the development is new, and it's just steps from the Bottle Works Hotel that opened last month. And this food hall is a community-focused marketplace that offers residents and travelers alike the opportunity to check out the food and wares from local chefs and artisans. All behind the garage's roll-up doors. And General Manager Nicole Ulrich, she wants you to know that there is more than just food at the Garage Food Hall.
Aside from that, we also want to talk about the fact that we have retail and we have services. So here we're essentially a marketplace in a community, a destination, if you will, where you can come in and you can dine with us. We've got entertainment so that your family can be entertained. We love to have your kiddos down here as well. So, you know, it's really, it's a destination that offers so many things.
Of course, masks are required in the garage, and they do have social distancing practices in place. And Ulrich says they are doing everything they can to make the space a safe one for all of their guests. Now, again, this food hall opens today at 10:30, and there's 14 restaurants and shops opening today, with 4 more expected to open throughout the next 2 months. So in total, 18 shops are going to be here just in this garage. She says they do have space for more vendors. Reporting live, Kelsey Anderson, WRTV.
Another great place to visit in the Indy area. Kelsey, thank you so much. Good morning to Mooresville, Lawrence, and Muncie. Another step forward in the fight against the pandemic as more Hoosiers can now get vaccinated. frontline first responders are now eligible to receive the first dose of the Moderna or the Pfizer vaccine. This includes firefighters, police officers, emergency medical services, first responder volunteers, and reserve officers. Now, frontline healthcare workers, long-term care facility residents, and long-term care facility employees have been getting the vaccine now in Indiana since first shipments arrived of the COVID vaccine. We're waiting for specifics on who will be the next group to get vaccinated. We do expect to get an update on Indiana's vaccination progress tomorrow during Governor Holcomb's weekly briefing. Lauren?
And Raphael, we do have some more good news on the vaccine front. Johnson & Johnson says that its vaccine trial is on track. That company could seek emergency authorization use by next month. Johnson & Johnson's Janssen vaccine would be the first one to only require one dose. It works by producing an antigen or a protein which causes an immune response to protect against the virus. The same technology was used to develop the Ebola vaccine. Johnson & Johnson is aiming to have its data toward the end of the month, and then it will submit an emergency use authorization application to the FDA in February.
Lauren, COVID-19 hospitalizations are starting to rise across the state. As of this morning, 2,836 Hoosiers are hospitalized with the virus or a suspected case. Hospitals in central Indiana are now preparing for a potential post-holiday surge in COVID patients. We spoke with leaders at Franciscan Health. They say even though Governor Holcomb has lifted a ban on elective surgeries, they are continuing the restrictions at this point in time. That will last for at least the next 2 weeks. But even with the restriction, hospital leaders say an influx of COVID-19 patients will still be a challenge.
Our critical care capacity has been running at its limit now for several weeks. We make the best we can out of the available space that we have.
Doctors at Franciscan Health say over the next 2 weeks are when people would present symptoms from any holiday gatherings, so they will reassess their plan at that time. We did ask Franciscan Health if there are any concerns about the new strain of COVID-19. They tell us at this point there is no necessary concern at this time. They also say whether it's the original strain or something new, the biggest concern is the ability to treat and care patients.
So, Megan, let's take a look at the numbers overall through our state and the map. About half of Indiana's 92 counties remain in the red status. That means that there's a high risk of community spread. 45 counties, including Marion, are in the orange status, and Jay County is the only one in the yellow status. As of this morning, nearly 12,000 COVID-19 cases have been reported in this month. Some of those date back to the last 2 weeks of December. State health officials also report 39 new COVID-related deaths. Since the pandemic began, 8,150 Hoosiers have died with COVID-19. Lauren?
And Raphael, it is 5:08 and bargain hunters will have to put their plans on hold. The Indianapolis garage sale and marketplace won't take place this weekend as originally planned. Due to an increase in COVID-19 cases, the annual event in the state fairgrounds has been moved to May 1st and 2nd. You'll still be able to shop hundreds of booths with low prices. Shoppers will find antiques, collectibles, jewelry, new and gently used clothing, arts and crafts, and more. There's also still time to book a booth if you have items to sell. We do want to get a check of our forecast on this Tuesday. Todd, what can people expect as they're heading out the door?
You know, as you walk out the door, the roadways are most likely damp in your neighborhood, and you have to keep a little close eye on the temperatures that are hovering right around freezing. There could be a few isolated slick spots this morning. We had that wintry mix, which I'll show you here in just a second and go through. It wasn't a whole lot, but with temperatures behind that little band of precipitation falling below freezing, can't rule out the chance of a slick spot, but there's been quite a bit of salt on the roadways from the freezing rain over New Year's, so not expecting widespread issues for you this morning. Coming home from work, not much of an issue. 34 degrees with skies that'll be partly cloudy. Here's that band of rain that's making its way through the area, pushing through Richmond and Connorsville right now. It's about to move off into Ohio, and then we are done with the precipitation for the remainder of the day. As far as temperatures, not much changes here as we go throughout the remainder of the week. We stay between 30 and 40 degrees for afternoon highs, and that's because lots of clouds, unfortunately, are going to hang around as well. I'll show you your 7-day planning forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
Todd, thank you so much. All eyes now on the Peach State today as Georgia voters, they head to the polls. Straight ahead, how this high-stakes election will impact the whole country. Megan?
Raphael, and stimulus checks are on their way. Coming up, how you can track your payments. That's right after the break.
The car you want, the way you want.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Welcome back to Good Morning Indiana. The time right now is 5:12. Raphael, Election Day is here again. Voters down in Georgia are heading out to the polls today for that runoff election.
Democracy 2020 2.0 in 2021. People are voting on 2 Senate seats, and as John Lawrence reports, the results will affect the whole country.
Voters in Georgia will determine Tuesday which party will control the U.S. Senate.
Are you ready to show America that Georgia's a red state?
Republican Senators Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue got a presidential boost less than 12 hours before the polls opened.
Kelly fights for me, David fights for me, that I can tell you.
Before the rally in Dalton, Georgia, both announced they will oppose the Electoral College's certification of President-elect Joe Biden's victory.
He may not know it yet, but Donald Trump is leaving.
Democratic candidates John Ossoff and the Reverend Raphael Warnock also received high-profile support in Atlanta on Election Day Eve.
By electing John and the Reverend, you can make an immediate difference in your own lives, the lives of the people all across this country.
If Ossoff and Warnock both win, the Senate will be split, with Vice President-elect Kamala Harris holding the tie-breaking vote. This political showdown in Georgia comes days after Trump pushed Georgia's Secretary of State in a recorded phone call to change the results of the 2020 presidential election.
It wasn't the right call. He shouldn't have made the call to begin with, and certainly shouldn't have had that dialogue.
It's a call for a coup with a gavel instead of a rifle.
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
John, thank you. And developing this morning, the most senior member of Georgia's state election board is requesting an investigation into President Trump's phone call to the Secretary of State. David Worley is the only Democrat on that board, and he says the goal is to determine if election fraud violations took place during that phone exchange. As of now, the Secretary of State, who's a Republican, does not plan to seek a criminal investigation.
Raphael, this morning, you can now track your stimulus payment online. The IRS Get My Payment tool is back up and running, and the tool went live early Monday afternoon, but you may experience some delays due to the high demand at this point in time. Last week, the second round of economic impact payments started to go out, so some people may have already seen the $600 in their accounts through direct deposit. Paper checks have also started going out and will continue to be sent through January. And some people will also be mailed debit cards, so check your mail carefully. And data on the IRS online tracking tool is updated once per day. That happens overnight. And meanwhile, a new round of stimulus checks means a new round of scams trying to take advantage of you. The Better Business Bureau says it is getting reports of con artists claiming that you need to provide personal information to receive the stimulus funds. Scammers are contacting people through text message, email, and robocalls. Consumer advocates say you should not reply to any of those messages. There are no processing fees involved with the stimulus payments. Beware of anyone asking for you to pay first. And if you have doubts, find the government agency's contact information on their website and contact them directly.
Well, if you're itching to travel again, Southwest wants to make that happen. The airline just launching its WOW sale. You can snag a flight for a getaway between March and April for as low as $29 one way. Southwest hopes this bargain buy will keep the ball rolling after the busier than expected holiday travel season, especially considering how much airlines have been struggling during this pandemic. The TSA says it was down 61% in the year 2020. This sale goes on through Thursday. So before you run over to your computer, Todd, you got to give us an update on the weather.
You know, I'm always looking for somewhere to go, and I love myself a good deal. So, all right, $29 sounds pretty good. Outside right now, we are dealing with a little bit of a wintry mix that is starting to come to an end, and I'll show you on radar in just a second. But this wintry mix made its way all the way across the state from west to east here this morning. This afternoon, we're looking at just mostly cloudy skies and then lots of clouds here this evening. Over overall temperatures today are going to be pretty seasonable. And this morning we sit in the 20s and 30s, 35 in Connorsville, where that rain is just moving through. So you're above freezing, which is good news. 30 right now in Indy, as well as in Martinsville, 31 Greencastle. Temperatures in the 20s here from Tipton up into the Peru area. So obviously there you're below freezing. We stay where we are for the next couple hours, and then even once the sun comes up, a lot of times when we have the sunshine, we see that big jump in temperatures. Not the case here throughout the morning hours today. We're only getting up to about 33, 34 degrees as we head into the noon hour. Here is that little wintry mix. It was more rain and a little bit of freezing rain than snow, but some of you to the north saw a little bit of snow shower activity, but it's just now getting ready to push through Richmond, or currently is Winchester as well, down into portions of Hope, Indiana. It's making its way now off into Ohio. Really going to be a non-factor for us going forward. But we are left with a lot of clouds around, and those clouds, unfortunately, are going to hang pretty tough throughout the course of the day today. And as a result, our temperatures are really not going to warm a whole lot, going all the way up into the mid-30s. 35 today in Frankfort, as well as Kokomo. Marion about 34 degrees. Anderson at 36 as he slides south. A couple degrees warmer. 38 the high temperature today in Indy, 40 in Martinsville, and we slide a little further down to the south. And many locations here, Spencer to Bedford to Seymour, Columbus, right around that 40-degree mark, which is, again, seasonal for this time of year. But when you don't have the sunshine and we have that kind of damp feel, it feels a little bit cooler. This evening, quiet temperatures in the 30s, eventually falling down into the 20s. Then overnight tonight, it's still got that damp feeling around with the clouds and the moisture that's out there can't escape with the blanket of clouds out there. So these temperatures, even though they'll be in the mid-20s, probably going to feel more like the upper teens as you wake up tomorrow morning. And then throughout the day tomorrow, just not a whole lot happens. Mostly cloudy skies. Temperatures once again in the mid-30s, and that's going to be the common theme as we extend out in your 7-day planning forecast. 33 on Friday, the next best chance of some sunshine that's going to last more than peak here or there. That'll arrive on Saturday. Lauren with a high temperature of 35 degrees.
All right, Todd, thanks so much. Let's take a look at traffic as you're heading out the door this morning. This is I-465 and Ditch Road to the north. You can see traffic there is traveling smoothly, both eastbound and westbound. No major delays to slow you down. Just a heads up if you live in the Zionsville area. Just a little bit northwest of this spot, we have County Road 875 East scheduled to close starting sometime this morning for a sewer project that's scheduled to reopen Friday, January 15th. So just a little closure there of that county road. Keep that in mind if that's part of your local traffic. Other than that, no major issues to report around the metro area. The time right now is 5:20. Now to Brad Brown for sports.
College basketball's COVID-19 protocols have caught up with more teams. Purdue and Ball State both having to postpone their games that were scheduled for Tuesday. Purdue was set to face Nebraska. BSU had a game against Western Michigan on the calendar. The Big Ten and MAC will announce new dates soon. IU in action on Monday night. Hoosiers at home against Maryland. The first half was a struggle. IU shot just 30% from the field. They were 0 of 9 behind the arc and down 27-21 at halftime. Trying to crawl back in it in the second. Al Durham's three-pointer capped an 8-0 burst that got Indiana within 2. Durham scored 13. Big momentum swing for IU after that. Trace Jackson Davis the steal, the slam. Indiana put together a 28-8 run to go from 10 down to 10 up. Jackson Davis scored 22 points, added 15 rebounds. Hoosiers come up with a much-needed 63-55 win, their second straight. IU plays at 8th-ranked Wisconsin on Thursday.
Comes on the follow-up, keeps it strong.
The Pacers with just their second away game of the season, a trip to New Orleans on Monday. They needed a 10-0 run in the final 2 minutes to tie the game. Miles Turner's three off the steal got the game tied and sent it to overtime, 106-106. They would need a final possession, though, to seal it up. Tied still, 5 seconds to go. Malcolm Brogdon drives and gets the floater to go. 118-116, a winner on the road. Pacers come up big on their first trip south.
It just shows the fight we have in this group. First and foremost, with Coach got all the fight in the world. The whole time down the stretch, with a minute left, with 38 seconds left, he just told us, it's not over, it's not over. That's all he kept screaming from the sideline. It's not over, it's not over. And you believe that.
They're back home on Wednesday night to take on the Rockets. Brad Brown, WRTV Sports.
Brad, thank you so much. And Indiana will once again be at the center of the college basketball universe. Ahead at 5:30 here on Good Morning Indiana, details on the NCAA's plans to bring March Madness right here to the Circle City.
Raphael, you don't have to go to Broadway or even to Old National Center to see popular musicals like West Side Story, Hairspray, and Legally Blonde. Coming up, how the longtime Indianapolis Theater is working to bring song and dance back to the community as the pandemic continues. That's right after this break.
Loan officers can translate for you.
Welcome back to Good Morning Indiana. It is 5:26. From Broadway to Main Street, we know the COVID crisis has pressed pause on the performing arts industry.
Lauren, that's why we're putting local groups in the spotlight as they work to bring music, dance, and theater back to Central Indiana.
So ladies, let's see those jazz hands this morning, because performers with Footlight Musical Community Theater invest hours, days, weeks, months, all for free. The theater stages classic musicals like Singing in the Rain, Cats, and Dreamgirls, but by day most cast members have 9-to-5 jobs, like Rihanna Bibbs. She teaches at Charles A. Tinley Accelerated School in Indianapolis, but by night her schedule is simply full of rehearsals. Bibbs says there's something special about community theater.
These are friendships we kind of keep over the years. It's not just like a one and done. Like with professional theater, sometimes the people that I've worked with, I don't see them again ever again.
Footlight is just now returning to the stage after nearly 1 year off. While no one lost a paycheck during the hiatus, the group says it's still vital to keep community theater alive. So make sure to visit Footlight when they're back open once again. Now to our daily headliner in Studio A, Todd Clausen. Good morning.
Raphael, good morning to you. We've had this little light wintry mix scooting through Central Indiana here this morning, and it continues now to push off into Ohio. That's the good news. We're going to be done with the precipitation here very shortly. It went through with very little fanfare, wet the roadways as it went through, but temperatures as it did move through were at or above freezing for the most part. Now on the backside of this system, it is below freezing, so can't rule out the chance of a slick spot, but the roads have been treated quite a bit over the past week or so, so there's a lot of salt there. So I'm not expecting widespread issues for your morning commute. Temperatures slowly start to climb here throughout the day with just lots of clouds around. Definitely not a bright day for us, with temperatures pretty seasonable for this time of year, climbing into the mid-30s. We'll have the latest news headlines for you as well as traffic coming up when Good Morning Indiana continues here in just a couple minutes.
Download today. From the station working for you, this is Good Morning Indiana, streaming now.
Now at 5:30, Indiana is chosen to host all of March Madness, what we know about the plans and how it can help Indianans' economy in the long run.
And a major Indianapolis project, it's opening its doors to the public today. Our Kelsey Anderson gives us an inside look at the reimagined 1930s Coca-Cola Bottle Works food hall right here in downtown Indianapolis.
It is 5:31 here on your Tuesday. We are 5 days into a brand new year. Thanks for starting your morning with us here on WRTV. I'm Lauren Casey.
And I'm Megan Shen. Of course, we're joined by Raphael, still working from home. Hey, Raphael.
So listen, a big shout out to Todd Clausen, who made it possible for Lauren Casey to have a great weekend forecast to celebrate her anniversary. Todd, I expect the same thing for myself in June, but today I'll take anything above freezing, okay?
Right. You'll get above freezing, and I guarantee, here's a guarantee for you, Raphael.
All right.
For your anniversary in June, it will be above freezing as well. So we have that going for you. You can write that down in stone. All right, outside right now, we have a little bit of a wintry mix that's making its way through the area, but it's almost out of Central Indiana. That's the good news. But as far as what you need to grab before you go, I'd say grab the coat, grab the hat and gloves here this morning. You don't need the umbrella. As I mentioned, this wintry mix is basically almost out of the area. You notice temperatures generally hovering right around freezing, a little bit below. below in Peru, right at freezing in Muncie. 30 is the current temperature in Indianapolis, and here is that wintry mix that's making its way now into the Dayton and Cincinnati area. It went through, wet the roadways a little bit. There could be an isolated slick spot out there, but otherwise we are not expecting any big issues on the roadways this morning from that little disturbance that went through the area. Otherwise, lots of clouds here this morning. Temperatures only slowly warm, 35 degrees, and as we work our way into the afternoon hours, there could be a little bit of sunshine working in, but not expecting a whole lot with high temperatures, Lauren, today only in the mid-30s.
All right, Todd, thanks. And yeah, things are pretty quiet on the roads right now. No major issues to slow you down. Here's a live look from our INDOT traffic camera to our northwest at I-465. A view here near West 56th Street. Traffic starting to pick up just a little bit in that area, but it still remains traveling up to speed, as you can see there by your camera. We'll continue to keep a close eye on the roads all over central Indiana. We'll let you know if there are any trouble spots you should avoid. Megan?
Thanks, Lauren. Well, Indiana is going to be the center of college basketball in the coming months. This morning, we're learning more about the NCAA's plans for Indianapolis to host all of March Madness. 68 teams will travel to the Hoosier State for the men's tournament. They will play at 6 venues. Those include Lucas Oil Stadium, Bankers Life Fieldhouse, Hinkle Fieldhouse, and the Fairgrounds Coliseum. IU and Purdue will also host first-round games at Assembly Hall and Mackey Arena. The plan does not currently include allowing fans, but a decision is expected to be made on that in the next few weeks. Governor Eric Holcomb says this is a golden opportunity for Indy and that making the event safe is a top priority.
Can do this. We'll just have to pay very close attention to, obviously, the numbers in each of the communities, and then make sure all those public health measures are put into place that allow us to host these events at the level that's safe.
Mask Madness is also a part of the plan. The NCAA is launching the campaign to give out tens of thousands of cloth masks across the state in March. Even without fans, a tournament is expected to help boost Indiana's economy. Early estimates say it will bring roughly $100 million, Raphael.
And so, Megan, this really is a big deal. And so we spoke with an expert who says the restrictions still in place means that downtown businesses may not see big profits, but the long-term impact, she says, is immeasurable.
What people think about is all these student athletes that are coming to Indianapolis and are going to be here in our bubble. Most of those are not going to go pro. The vast majority of these student athletes are going to go on and be leaders in their profession of choice. And here they're going to have hopefully the best experience possible. And they're going to take that forward into their careers and use that as a recommendation in their future businesses as well.
Of course, we'll continue to follow the tournament's plans as they develop. You can find more insights and reaction to the announcement on our website, as well as WRTV's app, WRTV.com.
And Raphael, it is 5:36. Let's take a closer look at Indiana's latest COVID-19 case numbers. The State Department of Health is reporting 3,630 new cases of the virus, bringing Indiana's total case count to nearly 530,000 since the start of the pandemic. 39 more deaths related to COVID-19 were also reported. 8,150 Hoosiers have died with COVID-19 since the pandemic began.
Across the U.S., the coronavirus crisis is taking a serious turn for the worse. Hospitals in California are so overwhelmed that they're turning away patients. And the FDA is issuing a new warning about COVID-19 vaccines. ABC's Alex Prochet has the very latest.
This morning, U.S. health officials out with a new warning, shooting down suggestions from some top health experts looking to speed up vaccine distribution by cutting doses in half or even delaying the second shot. In a new statement, the FDA warns changing the approved dosing schedule is premature and not rooted solidly in the available evidence, adding it could run a significant risk and undermine the vaccination efforts.
Dosing a first dose without a second dose available, that's just not in the label.
It comes with states saying only 30% of the vaccines distributed so far have been administered.
It's so frustrating, so frustrating.
In Florida, seniors camped out overnight, hoping to get their shot, but thousands were turned away. The governor now demanding hospitals speed things up.
Hospitals that do not do a good job of getting the vaccine out
will have their allocations transferred to hospitals that are doing a good job.
In New York, the governor is threatening hospitals with a $100,000 fine.
If you don't use the allocation by the end of this week, you can be fined and you won't receive further allocations.
The state now confirming its first case of that more contagious COVID variant. A man with no recent travel history testing positive. At least 3 others in contact with him, now waiting for their test results. That UK variant has spread to at least 4 states, making the race to vaccinate all the more urgent. In the U.S., more than 128,000 people are in the hospital with COVID. ERs are overrun, with this post-Christmas surge still looming.
We're running probably 300% of our normal capacity, right? I mean,
300%. The situation in Los Angeles County is so dire, ambulance crews are now being advised to cut back on oxygen use and not to take patients to the hospital if they have little chance of survival.
It's nonstop.
Alex Perche, ABC News, New York.
On this Tuesday, let's take you to Bartholomew County. A struggling business says that for the first time during this pandemic, it says it has hope. Randy and Robin Lapidus own the restaurant Special Dogs and More on Washington Street in Columbus. They focus on hiring people with intellectual and mental disabilities. 2020 started strong for the owners, but once the pandemic hit, sales plummeted. To stay afloat, they applied for Barstool Sports Barstool Fund. The sports media company started the foundation last month to help small businesses across the country. To their surprise, Special Dogs was selected.
For the first time since the pandemic has started, that light is no longer just a little pinhole. That light's now a lot bigger.
Randy and Robin say the money will help cover their rent. Special Dogs is one of about 70 other businesses that were chosen for the fund. The Barstool Fund is still accepting new applications, and here's what you can do about that. We have more information on our website, WRTV.com. Lauren?
Well, Raphael, the site of a former school bus lot is driving into the new year with a new look, new businesses, and new jobs.
That's right, Lauren. And WRTV's Kelsey Anderson joins us live with an inside look at what's opening at the newly created Bottle Works district. Good morning, Kelsey.
Hey, good morning. So in the 1930s, this area on the north end of Mass Avenue, it was bustling as it was the Coca-Cola bottling area. And so now the vision is to reimagine this into a place that's going to be bustling now with people who live here in Indianapolis and also their visitors. So the Garage Food Hall, it's just steps away from the development's new Bottle Works hotel that opened last month. The food hall is a community-focused marketplace that offers residents and travelers alike the opportunity to check out the food and wares from local chefs and artisans, all behind the garage's roll-up doors. General Manager Nicole Orwich says it's exciting to see the folks who have been watching this project finally get to experience it.
And they're always looking in the window. They've been watching the project for several years, and so they're so excited to see something positive happening on the other side of a pandemic. We're not on the other side, but we are in 2021, and I think that we are excited to bring something new and fresh to the city and do it in a safe manner.
So, of course, masks are required in the garage, and they do have social distancing practices in place. And Ulrich says they're doing everything they can to make this space a safe one for all of their guests. Now, it does open for the first time today at 10:30. Right now, there are going to be 14 vendors in there who are open, including restaurants, shops. We know there's going to be a barber shop in there as well. And then there are 4 more vendors set to open over the next 2 months. And Ulrich says they do have space for more vendors. Reporting live, Kelsey Anderson, WRTV.
All right, thank you, Kelsey. I've been watching them build that, so I'm excited to get there and try out all the good food in there, as well as look at all the other things that are going in as well. All right, here's the rain and snow that's been moving through during the course of the overnight hours. It's been very, very light. It's wet the roadways, and as far as slick spots, I can't rule 1 or 2 of them out because temperatures have now fallen below freezing. But the additional precipitation is over. This is about to push off into Ohio. Still some lingering showers there in Richmond, and then as you work your way up into the Winchester and Portland area. A few flurries near Muncie, but otherwise we are basically done. I do not think this was enough to cause any school delays out there, so the kids are going to have to go to school if they are not doing remote learning. Today, temperatures as the kids head off to the bus stop, 30 degrees with cloudy skies. As they come home, only about 37 degrees for our high temperature with mostly cloudy skies. This is going to be a pretty common theme going forward throughout the remainder of the week. More on that forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
Todd, a deadly weekend here in Indianapolis. Next, how the community is helping alleviate the financial burden that many families of homicide victims find themselves facing in 2021. Lauren?
And a warning for nursing home residents over their stimulus check. WRTV Investigates explains what to look for to make sure your loved one isn't being taken advantage of. It is 5:43 on your Tuesday. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Real heat, real healing.
Welcome back. 5 days into the new year, and Indianapolis has seen 3 deadly shootings. Behind each death is a family that has to deal with losing a loved one, plus the financial burden of a funeral and burial. Reverend Charles Harrison with the Barnes United Methodist Church and the Indianapolis 10-Point Coalition says homicide victims tend to be young and don't have life insurance, and their families are left to cover the cost of laying them to rest, which can cost thousands of dollars. Harrison says faith leaders and the community often work together to help grieving families.
It's heartbreaking when you get the phone call, when you're talking with the family, you know, and how burdened they are. They're already grieving about the fact they have, you know, lost a son or a daughter or a nephew or a niece, but then now trying to find the resources to bury them. And it's very heavy on these families.
Reverend Harrison and other faith leaders say they hope to eventually start a community fund to help victims' families. Raphael?
A reminder, Megan, from WRTV Investigates this morning, if you have a loved one in a nursing home or an assisted care facility in Indiana, make sure that they get their stimulus check. The Federal Trade Commission issued a warning that some facilities may try to take the stimulus payments, especially for residents who are currently on Medicaid. Now, this happened with the first round of stimulus checks last year. The Federal Trade Commission suggests talking to your loved one's nursing home and remind them that the resident should get their money. If you hear otherwise, report it to the Indiana Attorney General's office and the Federal Trade Commission. You can report that at fraud.ftc.gov.
And a White House attorney says the Census Bureau will miss its year-end deadline for dividing congressional seats. Now it won't happen until February. The count is based on population. It was delayed because of the pandemic, but it determines how many seats each state gets to vote for in Congress. This delayed deadline means President Trump's effort to exclude undocumented immigrants from the count likely won't happen. And President-elect Biden will be in office in February and could block that effort.
At 5:48, Kroger is hiring more Hoosiers as we kick off 2021. The grocer has hired nearly 13,000 people in 4 states since the pandemic began, and there are still more job opportunities out there for you to land. A Kroger spokesperson tells WRTV that the pandemic created a spike in demand for Kroger pickup. Jobs continue to be available in that area. The company also needs pharmacy technicians. These are just some of the open options. You can take a look at all of Kroger's open positions right now. Just go to jobs.kroger.com. Here at 5:49, let's toss things over to Todd for a check of our Tuesday forecast.
And it's not a bright day for us here, Lauren, but the good news is, at least going forward throughout the remainder of the day, it's going to be a dry day. If you want to get out and about, you'll just have to bundle up a little bit. You will not need the rain gear. We did have a wintry mix that went here throughout the overnight hours, starting to dry up here in Portland as well as Winchester. Still some lingering showers as you work your way south of Richmond there, down towards the Connorsville area, and then eventually into the Batesville area as well. But that band of precipitation, whether you saw a little bit of snow, a little bit of rain, continues to push off into Ohio, so that's the good news. Back behind it, just lots of clouds around here for the rest of your morning commute. Temperatures, they're sitting right around freezing, so can't rule out the chance of maybe an isolated slick spot here and there across parts of the area, but overall, it is going to be a pretty quiet morning for us. I showed you this view last hour if you were joining us then, and you could barely see some of the buildings as we still had some of that lingering moisture around from that wintry mix that went through. Obviously, you can see the state capitol. You can see some of the other buildings here across downtown Indianapolis. So we're in much better shape as far as visibility goes. 30 degrees is the current temperature in Indy, but it feels like 22 when you factor in this wind that's out of the northwest right now at 9 miles per hour. And the temperatures anywhere you go, we're all in the same air mass here this morning. And so as a result, temperatures are just within a couple degrees of each other. 31 Greencastle and Bloomington, 30 in Greenfield, 28 is the current temperature as you make your way into the Tipton area. And our temperatures today are going to stay in the 30s. I wish we could have the sunshine like yesterday. The sunshine helped us get into the 40s. I'm hopeful for a little bit of maybe a few peaks of sunshine here this afternoon as we get a little closer to sunset, but we're definitely not looking at a lot in the way of sunshine here throughout the course of the day. This evening, if you do have plans, temperatures will be falling back down into the 20s once the sun sets under a mainly clear sky. And then tomorrow morning, we're in the 20s, a little bit colder tomorrow morning, widespread across the area as everybody will be right around that 25-degree mark. Still kind of a damp feel tomorrow morning, and that's going to make it feel even a little bit cooler. And then tomorrow, a day very similar to this afternoon. We're looking at mostly cloudy skies and temperatures in the mid-30s. Your 7-day planning forecast shows more in the way of clouds for the remainder of the week. A little more in the way of sunshine as we head into the weekend with high temperatures between 35 and 40 degrees. Lauren?
All right, Todd, thanks. Let's take a look at your commute this morning. This is I-465, just a little bit west of State Road 37. This is on the southwest side of town where traffic is picking up this morning. Everything is traveling up to speed. I'm not monitoring any crashes on the roads at this early hour to slow down your commute. Megan?
Thank you, Lauren. Well, a blood transfusion could save your pet's life, but the pandemic is having a big impact on how much of that blood is available, Raphael.
And so, Megan, Blue Pearl Veterinary, which owns vet hospitals, says they're seeing a drop in pet blood donations. And now they're worried that this trend will continue through the year. Blue Pearl's chief medical officer tells us that a number of factors are driving the demand for pet blood right now. And that includes pet ownership increasing during this pandemic.
Because we're treating so many more patients, we have a higher need at the moment. So what we have to do is we have to then be really careful about which patients we use the blood products on. There are some times when you can make a decision of the patient will do okay without it, then we will choose not to do that. But we don't want to ever get into that position.
So keep this in mind. If you'd like to have your pet donate blood, it's best to contact your veterinarian first. Blue Pearl says a relatively big dog or cat that is middle-aged with no health conditions is the best for donating blood. Lauren?
Well, Raphael, when it snows, it's always fun to build a snowman in your front yard, but what if it was for a competition? Just after the break, we'll take a look at Russia's annual Snowman Festival. It's 5:53. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. And Raphael, as the winter brings more snow, you may get a chance to build a snowman this year still.
And so right now in Russia, you'd have to travel really far to see a lot of snow. They have enough of it, of course, to hold a big competition. So let's take you there. Children and their parents, they built more than 25 snowmen for the annual Snowman Festival. Their creations were made on display in a public park through January. It's so cold there's so much snow that they can hold on till January. The organizers of the event did not choose a winner among all of those snowmen. Instead, every participant was given a pair of mittens. And Todd Clausen, if you head out to the bus stop here in central Indiana, you'll need some mittens or gloves to keep warm on this Tuesday morning.
Yeah, you will, Raphael. Temperatures in the 20s and 30s here this morning, with only Lafayette at freezing. Everybody else is below freezing, so you definitely need to bundle up. In the center of your screen here, you see WRTV Storm Team radar, and there's some precipitation out there, but it's getting ready to push off into Ohio. It's made its way all morning long from west to east across the state. Once that precipitation comes to an end, just kind of a quiet afternoon for us with very little in the way of sunshine. Mostly cloudy skies, a high of 38, but there's going to be that damp feel, so that 38 is actually going to feel even a little bit cooler. We'll look at your 7-day planning forecast and have your latest news headlines coming up when Good Morning Indiana continues at the top of the hour.